Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Coffee Chats with Coach Candy, and it is Thursday, y'all. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Hope y'all are having a great week. Let's jump in and have a great conversation this morning. Good morning, Terry. How are you? Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, good morning. Give everybody a minute to jump on. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning, Jeff. How y'all doing this morning? Good morning, Mateo. Love this. I love our regulars showing up every morning. Ooh, some crazy hair going on. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. We'll give everybody just another minute. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Hola, hearing while driving. Good. We'll drive safely, so don't get too crazy on the road. Today is our Thursday Thanks Day, so I want to talk a little bit about amplifying our practice of gratitude. We've done a lot around implementing some new things in relations to gratitude. Good morning, Elaine. So let's kind of amp that up a little bit. Let's talk about ways that we can further connect into some of the practice that you're doing. And, you know, I think about, namaste to you too. I think about one of the stories in Brene Brown's Call to Courage film. And what I really like is the one where she talks about her daughter having that moment where she was taking a picture memory. And I think about the fact that how many times, even when we're in a space of, good morning, Martha, good morning, Sherry, how many times are we in a place where when we do have that gratitude, it's almost a fleeting moment. And so I want you to think about what I mean here when I say that. We'll say something like, oh, thank you. And then we just kind of shrug it off and we just kind of, you know, we've said the words and we're good and we move on from it. How often do you actually drop in and have a really deep moment, almost that like picture memory or that picture moment that she was talking about, or that moment where you really drop into whatever is kind of filling you up and you take that time to feel every aspect of it. And so you lean in, you really think about, what does it feel like? What is everything going on around me, so that you can sort of anchor that in. Good morning, Renee. Anchor that into one of those sweet spots, right? One of those sweet moments that when you're having a bad day, or maybe when, you know, all shit's hitting the fan and you're just feeling stressed or you're feeling overwhelmed. Good morning. You know, it's that opportunity to come back to, right? And I think about there's times when, I'll give you an example, and you guys, oh, I love Peyton, right? You know, I love my puppy who's in the background right now playing with this toy, so you might be hearing some squeaking. But there are times when I'll just kind of like lay there with him. And I'll think about this sweet moment where I'm overflowing with love, I'm overflowing with gratitude. And I get to, you know, really take in every aspect of the moment. I take in the way he smells. I take in his little puppy snores. I take in, you know, the feel of his ears or his paws, or the way that he snuggles up into my chest. And I think about almost spending time in that moment. And so how often, and when you're doing your practice of gratitude, do you give yourself time to really kind of lean into that moment? Do you give yourself time to really amplify that practice and take that kind of picture moment, anchoring that into your entire being, not just your memory, not into your mental space, but anchoring that into such a deep space, such a deep visceral space in your body that you could call that up at any time. That you could literally, maybe you're on the plane and you're like, it's all chaotic and there's noise going everywhere. And you're like, man, I just need a moment of peace, right? I just need a moment to catch my thoughts. I just need a moment to kind of go in and be quiet. Do you have those spaces that you can just drop into because you've taken time, that when the gratitude or when the love or when the joy is overflowing, you've really allowed yourself to step into that, so that your whole being can sort of take that memory picture, right? That whole space of what that feels like, that you could drop into that at any moment. Good morning, Paul. So I'm curious what that looks like for you guys. First of all, do you do that? Do you brush past the thank you, or do you really drop in and kind of savor, right? Marinate in the moment to say, oh, this is one of those like moments that makes life so amazing. This is one of those like once in a lifetime. It's those little moments, right, that she talked about. It's those little things that oftentimes we forget because we're always looking for those big gestures. We're always looking for those big spaces. And we forget that we have this opportunity to really savor the little moments. And so are you giving yourself time to really drop in, really savor, and really allow your whole being, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, to connect and drop in to that space where the gratitude's overflowing, or that space where the love is flowing? And I think about that even in terms of how we look at ourselves. And I told you guys, we're going to get into some things around, our own self-value and self-worth, and some of the stories. We're going to get into some of the noise that's been showing up. And one of the best ways to, what's the word I'm looking for, address the noise or combat the noise, is to really drop into that space of gratitude, even for yourself, even to acknowledge and really lean in and let yourself sort of overflow with a single moment, a small thing that maybe doesn't account for much, but when you add that up over time, it's everything. And so I'm curious, how many of you really drop into those little moments, those little things when, like me, like I said, it's listening to Peyton snore, or it's the way he kind of moves when he's dreaming, or, he, or just the softness in him, the way he leans in sometimes, and just taking that moment and breathing it in. And so when I talk about amplifying your practice of gratitude, it's those moments to really breathe in that overflowing joy, that overflowing love, that overflowing gratitude. Breathe in and create that full body memory picture, not just the mental picture, but that full body experience of that mental picture. And so I'm curious, what does that look like for you guys? What are some of those sweet moments? I guess first, do you take time for those sweet moments? And then what do some of those sweet moments look like for you? What are some of those little things that may be your anchor point that you can always drop into, you can always come back to, that if it's a moment where, life is just happening and it's getting crazy and there's all kinds of stuff going on, how do you keep yourself connected, and how do you get into a space where you can really be grounded, you can be centered for yourself, and these anchor points, these points that we can drop in and fully just visualize and experience it all over again, are a great way to combat some of that noise that shows up. And like I said, we're going to dig into that much more, but I'm curious, Martha, I have a gratitude journal to capture at least 3 good positive things each day. I also have a gratitude mindfulness meditation script that leads me into a grateful state. Love that. Jeff, I was just teaching my 10-year-old to think deeply about moments of time, almost a meditative state with what you are seeing or feeling. Absolutely. Because think about it, when you really allow yourself that space to drop in, right? When you allow yourself, and I love that meditative state, right? It's that space where you're almost kind of sleepy and you're just kind of like being, and you're in that stillness. When you do that and you really start to anchor in the experience of that, it is something that you have as a tool to draw on all the time. And so I think about when we're trying to build our toolkit, right? When we're trying to build the resources and the things we need, because life happens. And, we've had a lot of conversations this week about some of the heavy issues, and are you part of the problem? Are you part of the solution? And how you're choosing to show up, and your own living legacy. And if you want to be able to prime that tank, if you want to be able to prime the space where you can show up most purposely, and you can show up from a place to lead from love with love, then it matters that you're being very purposeful and deliberate about the tools that you're putting in your toolkit. And this is one of those spaces, this sort of anchoring your experiences, this very powerful way to draw on the energy of something that really fills your cup, or has you overflowing in a single moment. There's a space that when you really create that kind of meditative experience to connect to that, it provides a powerful tool that you can connect to anytime you need it. And so, Martha, also when my cat hears my meditation app, he comes near to snuggle. I love that. Animals are such energetic beings, and most animals are very empathic. And so, yes, I know that when I'm doing some things, whether I'm journaling or deep, that's oftentimes when Peyton will come up next to me and just kind of like snuggle or sleep or curl up, because they feel that state. They feel that state where you're at peace. And so think about that. The more you can, this is one of those reasons why I want to talk about amplifying this space, because it allows you to put yourself immediately in a space of calm, a space of peace, when you can instantly. And so say you could think about something that's showing up that's freaking you out, that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening, whatever. You can either choose to step into that fear, or you can draw on and pull up that space that's sort of your happy space. That's that experience. That's that beautiful way that you've experienced something that really drops you into that deep gratitude, that deep joy, that deep love. And so really want you to think about that. Renee, absolutely. Daily gratitude at the beginning and end of each day sets the tone for each and every day. The savoring and overflowing emotions usually hit me with tears. Me too. With love, sadness, joy, happiness. Sometimes those sweet moments cause my eyes to leak, which is totally okay while in prayer and meditation. I cry a lot in meditation. Because I'm like you, Renee. And I believe that we had tear ducts as a way too, that when we are overflowing with gratitude, when we are overflowing with love and joy, it gives us a space for sweet release. I am a big fan of allowing the tears to flow. And, there's the cathartic tears that help us bless and release and clean out space so that we can invite newness in. And so it's like the rain that comes down and kind of refreshes and washes away the soil and washes away the dirt and washes away the toxicity and washes away. So there's that kind of crying that's really that cleansing, cathartic space that allows us to open up to receive more, to be joyful for. And then there's those tears that are from that sweet experience that it's almost as if, and I sort of compare it to why I like jazz music so much. There are times when words are not adequate to really convey the depth of emotion that you're feeling, especially, and I feel that a lot when I'm in deep gratitude, when I'm in overflowing love. I feel like sometimes that words don't effectively convey how I'm leaning into that and how I'm experiencing that. And it's again why I like jazz a lot of times, because it doesn't have this melody. It doesn't have something that's rhyme and meter. It's this very raw, visceral way to express. And there's times when if you listen to a really good piece of music, you're like, oh, I can feel the angst, or oh, I can feel that. And you can't really put it into words, but you can feel it in your body. And so, yes, I love that, Renee. I love that you have those moments that you let yourself drop in and say, I'm just going to release, right? I'm going to release and let it overflow and let it it's a different kind of cleansing, right? It's a space of drawing in that peace. It's a space of drawing in more love. It's a space of really being able to connect, because I am really a big fan of where I used to be, somewhat shamed and embarrassed about the fact that I'm a very passionate, very emotional person, and I do cry a lot. I used to feel like I needed to shut that down and hide that. And I now have a different space where if my eyes don't leak a little, or if my eyes don't water, if I don't feel like I have that moment to drop in, to really want to savor something I'm grateful for every day, then why did I get up in the morning? I have a different question that I want to know that I'm connecting on that level every day, whether it be just for myself or whether it be for other people. And so I love that. I love that release in prayer and meditation. And I'm like you, I tend to leak a lot in that space. I leak a lot when I see something that's just beautiful. I leak a lot when I just sit and lay with my dog and listen to him snore. I think about when Renee talks about that, when you just look over your child and you have this overwhelming or overflowing space of love, you just can't contain it and it just flows freely, right? I find myself in that space a lot. Let's see what the rest of you saying. Jeff, I've noticed that I have the toughest time reaching a deep thinking state when I'm in a bad mood, frustrated, or angry. Any tips on getting into a deep gratitude state would help. My wife would love you all if you could help me with that too. Yeah, Jeff, and this is exactly why I'm talking about this today. This in itself is one of the most powerful tools to help you, is the more you can create these kind of anchor points, the more you can create sort of that really overflowing, joyful, loving, grateful state, and you can get yourself viscerally to experience that on all levels, so that when you have a moment, so think about one of the sweet moments with you and your wife, or think about with your daughter, or think about when you were with a client, or even just for yourself, and think about those things that fill you up with joy. And when you have one of those moments, instead of just going, man, I love that and I appreciate it, and just kind of blowing past it, what I want you to do is I want you to purposely drop into that, and I want you to notice everything you're experiencing in that moment. I want you to think about all of the sounds around you. I want you to think about what you're smelling, what you're seeing, get your senses engaged, what you're hearing, what you're feeling in your body. And what you do is you start to anchor that memory into your body and start to really feel that. And I mean in your whole body, not just in your head. Don't just take just the mental picture. Really feel into, you know, how does your chest feel? How does your shoulders feel? How are you feeling in terms of emotion and state of being? And then really start to say, let me just hold that space for a minute. Let me just really savor it. Let me just give myself and sort of take that moment to suspend time. So allow yourself to just say, you know what, nothing else matters right now. Just in this moment, I just want to really feel and experience this moment. And then what you do is you sort of put it back in the file of your memory. And so say that moment comes up where, you know, you're feeling the anger, you're feeling the fight and the resistance, or you're feeling the fact that it's just, you're in an ick mood, right? And so the first and foremost, what I want you to do is I always want you to come back to a space where you ground yourself. So you can, in a second, when you feel like you're just about to snap, you're like, okay, and the grounding, again, you can do it in a couple different ways, but one of the ways is just middle finger to thumb, and just take in 3 deep, big breaths from your core. Not shallow upper body breathing, but those 3 deep breaths, just to get yourself kind of like calm down. It's kind of like the count to 10, but rather than count to 10, which is kind of a 1, 2, 3, and people I want you to breathe, because oftentimes when we're having that reactionary moment, first and foremost, we need to breathe. We need to open up and expand our body to bring in oxygen, to let the blood flow. And even with you being a trainer and the things you do, we all get jammed up. And usually when we're reacting, we're up in this part of our body. We're chest up. And so we're ready for fight. We're ready to attack. We're ready to get in that stance, right? And so the best thing that you can do is go empty. And so breathe, and either do the 3 deep, powerful breaths from your core, or try the box breathing, the Navy SEAL technique, which is the count of 4, hold a 4, release a 4, and then the empty of 4. And Jeff, I know you could probably do a longer than 4, but those things right there. And then what you do is then tap in and draw on that body memory, that experiential memory that you dropped in and said, what are one of those things that just makes me feel love, that just makes me feel grateful? And it's amazing how those 2 things can immediately shift you out of that space of wanting to like fight, punch, shut somebody down, react. It's giving yourself, it's the power of the pause. And it's the power of a deliberate pause where you can drop in and you can take that breath and you can ground your center. And again, this is taking responsibility, because there people will make all kinds of excuses why they can't do that. But it's when you hit the pause and when you say, okay, and you can do this and nobody even needs to know you're doing it. You can do it in a matter of a couple seconds and just simply be like, and as you're doing that, bring that picture, that experience to life. And the thing is when you're deeply in a space of gratitude, you cannot be in a space of fear or anger or reacting. You can't be present in both spaces. So really, it's creating that mindfulness practice. And this is where you amplify that. And so practice that. Practice that before you get to a point, Jeff, where you're already like on like number 10 or past 10 in terms of where you're going to explode. Start practicing it when you're at a 1, or practice it when you're at a 2, and the more you create this practice, the more those tools are easy to draw on when you need them most. And so don't wait until you actually need them to think, oh my God, I got to remember all this stuff. Start creating a daily practice that just in a minute, just set a timer for yourself on your phone and say, okay, right now take 3 deep breaths and connect to your anchor picture, or connect to your visceral experience, or whatever you want to call it, that deep gratitude. Call it that space to say, okay, right now practice. And so just like you would go to the gym and you would, do certain routines over and over again because you're trying to build that muscle, think about that same discipline and practice for building your gratitude muscle. Do not wait. This is not one of those opportunities where you want to wait until the moment gets to where you need to draw on it because you're about to blow your mind and like, shit, this shitstorm just happened. Don't wait till that point to draw on those tools and resources. Start creating a daily practice so that it starts to be a natural reflex for you, so that when things get escalated past a 10 or up to a 10, you can just immediately drop in, and it's not even something, it becomes an automated response. So Jeff, does that help in terms of the question that you're asking? Mateo, we are all mammals, and when we have a strong emotional responses, we project undetectable sense. Very true. Our animals respond to that, and humans too. Yes, it's the empath. It's they respond to our energy, and they respond to the pheromones that we put off based on whatever. There is a definite smell we put off based on fight and flight, and that whole freeze. Oh, absolutely. When I commute, I turn off the air, roll the windows down, and consume the environment for about 20 minutes to connect and move through. Yes, nature is a powerful way to have these kind of visceral gratitude experiences where you can drop in. So allow yourself, go out, breathe in your surroundings and your environment. I love that. Seeing the sky connect to the city and send waves of appreciation to all those around me, powering the engine of the city. I love that. I mean, taking those little moments, right? There is something we can be grateful for in every space, in every moment. And the more we practice, and so I love that some of you talk about, and I love, you know how big I am on having the morning and evening routine and the bookends. So yes, absolutely start your day with gratitude, end your day with gratitude, and find ways every day deliberately to create those moments, just like Mateo's saying, to really dial in and notice what's going on around you and drop into gratitude in that space as well. And again, like I said, you can set your alarm, you can set a timer, you can set things to say, okay, right now, what am I grateful for? 3 things I'm grateful for. Notice, or a message on your phone that says, notice your environment right now. Just those moments that create more awareness, that create more presence, will also naturally start to drop you into that gratitude practice so that you create more and more of those anchor points that you can draw from. So I absolutely love that. Thanks, Mateo, for sharing that. Renee, let's see. Oh, Semin, welcome. Daryl, welcome. Ruth Medlin, excellent. Love seeing you guys. Jeff, awesome. We use this in between rounds and fighting. Absolutely. And so think about it. The same tools that because Jeff, you know, we train in that space, right? The same rules you train, that you learn, are the same tools that you can apply in life as well. And so draw on them to be really powerful tools that you can, again, put in that toolkit and make sure that you have around you. Renee, sometimes saying out loud, I'm feeling angry, frustrated, so as not to unload on those closest to you, by merely acknowledge the intense emotion and give yourself 5 to 10 minutes to cool down and shift to a better space to be able to show better, calm, release the negative emotions. Absolutely. And so think about, even Brene said in Call to Courage, the story I'm telling myself right now, it's amazing how when you acknowledge and take responsibility for that. So think about when you show up and you say things like, right now I'm feeling. Because, and be really mindful that you're acknowledging what the actual feeling is. You're not using the socially accepted, I'm pissed off right now. Is that really what you're feeling? Or are you feeling like someone shut you down? Are you feeling like you weren't seen and heard? Are you feeling insecure? Are you feeling like someone took advantage of you? Are you feeling like you had an expectation that maybe you didn't clearly communicate and someone didn't step up? What is it you're actually feeling? And to Renee's point, maybe you're angry, maybe you're frustrated, and then about what? Allow yourself to really name it, because it's when you name it that you take the power away from it and you take your personal power back to say, okay, I see you, I'm taking responsibility for you. And it's only when you name it that you can start to figure out what you want to do to change it, because you ultimately are responsible no matter what. Nothing is happening to you. Things are showing up and happening for you. And the more you allow yourself to have the awareness, the more you allow yourself to step into that place to be present, and the more you allow yourself to have that personal responsibility, the more you will then show up as the person that you want to be and not. And because we tend to unleash on the people we care most about, because those are the people that see us most vulnerable. Those are the people that we know probably aren't going to go anywhere, that oftentimes we forget to be most present with those people that are closest to us. And so I love that. I love that Renee's suggesting that, to acknowledge that. And so it's either this is the story I'm telling myself, or I'm feeling this right now. And where's that coming from? Again, when the triggers show up, you have 3 choices inside of that. You can choose not to acknowledge the trigger, and all that is you copping out and not taking responsibility in that space. Know that that's a choice. You can say, that's not mine. I don't want that. That's not fair. That's a cop out. Just every time that's a cop out. I'm going to be really strong in that language, that anytime you choose not to, be aware and notice and take responsibility for your trigger. For whatever reason, it is a cop-out and you're making an excuse and you're not taking responsibility. The second piece is you can lean in and everything we're talking about, get curious in that space. Ask yourself, where's this coming from? What am I feeling right now? And why am I feeling that way? Where is this coming from? Where is it stemming from? And get really curious and lean in. And the third one is that once you've done some of that work, these triggers show up and now you've got the automatic response or the tools to say, you know what? At the end of the day, this isn't going to bother me. And I also want you to think about the 5x5 rule. If this is not going to matter 5 hours from now, 5 days from now, 5 years from now, don't give it more than 5 minutes of your time. So if you're feeling like you're reacting to something and you're like, honestly, at the end of the day, this isn't even going to matter tomorrow, be really mindful about where you want to put your fight in the games. We fight about things and we create this energy that's unnecessary because we get so caught up in this little moment that's we're reacting or having a trigger to something. We haven't acknowledged what those feelings are, the story. And so it is your responsibility to hold that space to say, how do I choose to show up? How do I choose to be available and open for the people that I care and love? And is this really going to be a big deal once this blows over? No, then why am I getting so wound up about it? What is the trigger? And again, you have a responsibility in all those spaces. And so I love this. Ruth, I have a gratitude journal that I write in daily. Yes, I actually carry, and I've shown you guys, I have so many of these running around. I have a gratitude journal that I just have everywhere with me so that if I'm waiting, yesterday I had a client meeting and she was running late and I just sit there and I think about what am I grateful for now and what am I noticing and where am I at? And yes, journaling, bringing that good morning, Sheena, is such a powerful tool. And the more you get in the practice of journaling, and I love, yesterday I did a podcast interview with one of my clients who I've been working with for years, and she's had this massive shift. And I love that when she writes in her journal, she writes, "Dear Monkey Mind," so that she can have an open conversation around what's the crazy story she's telling herself. And so for some of you that are like, I don't even know how to write a journal, seriously sit down and say, "Dear Monkey Mind, what's going on?" And then just let it go, right? And so I encourage you to check out that podcast interview. I think it'll be released in 2 weeks, and I've got another one that's out this week as well. So Ruth, start each day with a heart full of gratitude. Absolutely. I have this saying on my refrigerator. And look at as I start my coffee, settles me for the day ahead. Absolutely. Always start your day with gratitude and end your day with gratitude, and find spaces throughout the day to just connect. The more you connect into gratitude on a regular basis, the more some of those things that have been triggering you will just naturally start to dissolve and go away. It's amazing how when you are in a more deliberate space of gratitude more often, how the noise just doesn't seem to show up as much. Because again, you can't be in a place of gratitude and fear at the same time. It's impossible. So Carmen, on my lunch hour, I like to go sit in the park or at a bench and take in the sounds of nature. Oh, love that. And feel the warmth of the sun. Yes, I'm a sun. I love my sun. It helps me take a break during a work day to focus on peace and gratitude and recharge. I love that. Those little moments, right? And it could be a 30-second, hey, just sit at your desk, stand up, or go take a little walk. Or it could be something that just says, I'm gonna look at a picture on my phone of somebody or something that I really love and just savor it for a moment. Just allow yourself touch points throughout the day. Definitely keep your bookends where you are deliberate about your practice of gratitude in the morning and starting with a grateful heart and closing your day in that space, and find things throughout the day that are those deliberate touch points to allow you to drop in and really start to create that practice and amplify that practice so that it becomes that automated space that you just drop into. It's amazing how much you can shift out of that space at times. Elaine, I love to watch things that go on in my environment and sharing gratitude to someone who does something good. Absolutely. Those are those lollipop moments, right? When you can share that out and deeply say thank you to somebody. Thank you for showing up for me. Thank you for making my day. Thank you for seeing me today. Thank you for choosing to be with me. I remember I was in a relationship that we, every morning, every time we would see each other, anytime we would get together, one or both of us would say, thank you for choosing to be with me today. Thank you. And having that deep appreciation, when we extend that out and share that, not only do we build deeper connections and enhance the level of our relationships, we also put ourselves in a place to be in the driver's seat and to be in control. And so this is some of what I want you guys to consider as you're going into your day today. I love that we get to have this conversation this morning, because I am about to head out and go do a huge speaking engagement for IEEE for their big International Women's Conference. Once again, this is my third year in a row speaking at this very large conference, 80 different countries represented. Absolutely love the space. And so I get to speak later this morning, and I'm going to talk to them about how to focus, how to manage their focus, not their time. And we're going to have some conversations about their bookends and gratitude and what's that look like and how do they fill their cup so that they can show up so effectively. And so I love that. This just kind of primed my tank and getting me in a space that I can think about that. Daryl, my day begins with twang, time alone with God. Oh, I love that. I always pray first before anything, followed by reading. Absolutely. I think having that space to connect into your higher self, your spiritual zone, whether it be God, Tao, Buddha, universe, spirit, source, whatever it is that you tap into, having that space and having deep gratitude to say, and I have a friend that actually one of the ways that I start my morning when you meditate is to simply say before you meditate, and again, whatever you believe, I'm going to use God in this space, but it's God, what amazing things are you and I going to create today? And when you can put yourself in a space before you do anything else to simply say, what are we going to do today? And then at the end of the day, be able to say, and again, God, spirit, source, universe, however you want to, Penelope, whatever you want to call it, is to say at the end of the day, where did God touch my life today? Where did source touch my life today? Where did, and when you have those anchor points on the beginning and end of your day, it can change everything. And so think about, you were given a set of gifts. You were put in this earth, that living legacy, right? So what amazing things are you and the universe going to do today? What are you and God going to do today? And then where did God show up and touch your life? Where do you notice that you have those moments, those little things throughout the day? Because we get so caught up on what went wrong in our day that when you can settle in and say, what went right? What was that really sweet moment today? Oh, remember when, and then just really drop in that space, just a powerful way to start your day. So yes, have a great, thanks, Mateo. Love that. Thank you, everybody. Just so you know, if you didn't see, because I know some of you have been waiting, and I only have 100 seats available for it, the workshop is open. Registration is open for the half-day workshop. We are going to do a massive amount of work on you getting clear on your passion, purpose, and mission. So if some of you have been feeling stuck, if you've been struggling with that clarity and you want some more tools, you want some things that are going to help you get crystal clear, join us. It's Saturday, June 8th. It will be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. And if you haven't already seen, this is an opportunity to invite your kids to join you. You can sign up, have one registration, and invite whoever you want. Invite your friends, invite your partner, invite your family, invite your kids. I am going to make this very interactive and kid-friendly. It is a powerful way, and I've watched so many of my clients take these tools, whether it be about gratitude, whether it be about building vision boards, whether it be about clarity and tapping into your passion and purpose and mission. And when they do this with their kids, it opens up these amazing, incredible conversations, and it could set your weekend up for a big activity-filled family weekend that's deep connected conversation. I'm going to give you some things to do after the workshop that helps your family connect more. You could do it just by yourself, so jump on. Don't think you have to have a family, but I am making this family friendly so that you could do this as a family activity and not just because I know sometimes some of you want to level up, some of you want to get the tools, you want to do some self growth development, you want to dig in, and then you're like, I can't take time away from the kids on the weekend. I can't. So make it a family event. So I am purposely putting this in a space where this is going to be really interactive, and it's a way for you and the kids to connect, or you and your partner to connect, or you and your friends to connect. Think about it. You could do a brunch with your girlfriends or your guy friend and sit and say, okay, we're gonna dial into this, and then we're gonna have kind of like a brunch afterwards, and we're gonna have some conversation, dig in, and hold each other accountable. And so registration is open. In fact, I think I've got the link right here. I will drop that in for all of you if you're interested. out. This is going to be a really powerful way for everybody to connect, to get really clear on your passion, your purpose, your mission, so that you can show up and serve at a much higher level. And super thrilled that I get to do this. And like I said, it's limited to 100 people based on what the capacity of my webinar space is. And so sign up because it's going to go fast. I just launched it last night. But we are going to meet June 8th, Saturday, June 8th, 9 to 1 p.m. Central Time. And so I'm super, super excited. Like I said, this is a great opportunity for you guys to do this with your kids, do this with your family, and really just such a game changer. So anyway, that being said, I also have a new podcast episode that was just launched yesterday. So go check that out. It talks about how to tell your stories through pictures and why pictures matter in your branding and some of those things. So really powerful conversation. With that, I am gonna head out because I need to go fight some Austin traffic to get down in time to do my presentation. But I just wanna say deep thanks to all of you. You truly make my morning. It just lights me up that I get to spend this space with you every day. It really is such an honor to be able to start my day in these conversations. And I so deeply appreciate and honor each and every one of you for the way that you show up for me, for each other, for yourself, because these conversations are powerful because of all of you. And so just thank you, thank you, thank you. I love all of you. Go out and make it a absolutely fantastic Thursday and really, really challenge yourself to step up and amplify your practice of gratitude, whatever that might be, and allow yourself more awareness, more space, and more presence to notice all of the amazing things around you to be grateful for. So with that, I love all of you. Oh, always a boot in the butt. Happy to do it. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, and not sure what I'm bringing for Friday Feature Space. So again, if there's anything that you want me to bring to these conversations, if you want any topics, any things laid out, we are going to get into some things next week around self-worth and our head game and the noise and how we perceive ourselves and some of the stuff that's getting in our way from us shining our light in its best capacity. But with that, I love you all, as always. Robin, love you. Glad to see you this morning. The rest of you, just have a terrific Thursday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, 7:30. Bye.